So thrilled with the win there. What an incredible atmosphere, in here. I knew we were in for kind of a special night in here when I entered the arena, an hour and 20 minutes before the game, and see the student section just about completely full. Just want to thank the students. They were amazing. Our fans have been with us the whole year, all year. I think not only is it one of the most passionate and best fan bases in the country, but it's also an incredibly knowledgeable one because through the tough losses early in the season, I think they saw the improvement, saw the direction that this thing's going in, and they stayed with us, and we'd just like to thank them. Obviously, it's an honor. It's an honor to play, to play and defeat a team like Houston. They're an outstanding program, one of the best in the country, with one of the best coaches and some of the best players. And to beat them, you damn near got to kill them. And Grimes and those guys obviously, fought their tail off. So great defensive effort, and just couldn't be prouder of our group.
It seemed like Christian wasn't going to let you lose tonight.
Christian definitely didn't want to lose. He never does. He's a very stubborn guy, especially when it comes to competing. There's just no given in him, and just to see an evolution in the last 6 to 7 weeks in particular, but over the course of these 2 years. There were times last year where I wasn't sure if we could coexist, and but man, that's the joy of coaching, is to see a young man just change and mature and develop into what you've seen at the end of the season. He's been a great player in the last 6 to 7 weeks, and he's played as well as anyone in the conference in the last 6 or 7 weeks. He's been as good as any player in the league.
And if you had to point to one thing that he's done best over the last 2 months, what would you say it is? And also, the second question, did you think he was ever going to give up that microphone?
I thought he went about 60 seconds too long. No, me and the cook were talking about it. He was awesome there. I'll say this, from a basketball standpoint, just shot selection and playing more like a really good guard in terms of his passing and decision making. And then I'll say, just as accepting a role that this team needed. I mean, we'd be lost if he didn't, take that leadership mantle. Like I said, 6 or 7 weeks ago, the light switch came on, and he really became like the leader of the team. Along with Al Tariq has been more of a quiet leader, but he's helped bring along James. He's helped bring along Gaffney. He wasn't territorial about being the senior. This is my team. There was a flip of a switch there where he started. He really understands leadership now.
When did you know Al was good to go today? When you got to the arena, or before that?
About about 35 minutes before tip. Literally 35 minutes. James, the trainer, came in and asked me what I thought. I said, I don't know why the hell you're asking me what I think. I'm hiding in the locker room. I'm not watching pregame warm-up. So I said, he felt like Al was about 80-85% today. But man, you saw that kid's heart on full display today. His on-ball defense, particularly in the second half, was a huge reason why we won. Obviously, James is scoring, and Christian will get a bunch of highlights, and Isaiah's continued ascension, but Al's on-the-ball defense was some man stuff.
I mean, it may be impossible to out-rebound this team. I don't think that nobody's done it this year, but do you feel like you held your own enough, and how much did Isaiah help in that way? He had a couple big offensive rebounds.
I mean, you can't simulate what they do, on the backboard. We knew we had to offset that by playing really good field goal percentage defense, and to keep them, a team like that offensively, to 36% from the field, and that's with Grimes going off late, so it was obviously an even lower number before he went on that tear at the end. But I mean, a lot, you know, they came in like waves where they were getting like 3 or 4 in like one possession. So I think that number's like a little bit skewed because we had like a couple of possessions where they got like 3. But we did enough, but man, they're physical.
Dan, what was your message at halftime after they had made that run to take the lead?
We played better than them in the first half. I mean, we had a bad end to the first half because we had a couple guys in foul trouble. You know, and sometimes I go in there and, you know, I go nuts and, you know, but at halftime the whole, you know, and the staff goes crazy about, you know, you got to get after it, you know, we're not playing with enough pop, whatever. But that wasn't the case today. We outplayed them in the first half. We just had a really unfortunate kind of last couple of minutes of that first half. So really it was about building their confidence up at halftime and letting them know to beat a team of this caliber. You got to weather the storms during the course of the game, and they responded quickly.
Shot 50% against a really good defensive team. What do you attribute that to?
Just continued maturity, you know, of the group. Again, shot selection's gotten better. We're working harder to get better shots at that end of the court. Guys are much more comfortable playing together. You're doing what, I mean, we're kind of doing what you're supposed to do during the course of the season, even through the injuries. Is, you know, we're getting better. You know, that's what, like, you know, team is supposed to do during the course of the season.
You had 2 big runs, one in the first half, one in the second half. It seemed like they got very aggressive during those runs, on both ends of the court. So what happened during those runs that allowed that?
For us to go on a run, or for them?
For you to go on those runs.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of how basketball, you know, basketball is played, you know, or you know, when you have that many skilled guards that were on the court tonight, especially for them, you know, when they went 4 guards with White at the 5 or Gorman at the 5, I mean, they're really hard to guard. So, you know, they're going to go on a stretch where they're going to have multiple good possessions offensively. You know, and then when we're putting, you know, Christian on the court with Booknight and Isaiah at the 5 with, you know, either Altery, Jalen, or Brendan, there's a lot of skilled players on the court, and you know, so I just think there are a lot of skilled players which allow you to go on stretches on offense where you look good. But I would just say that, like, you know, we're 18 and 12, but, you know, we're a good team. You know, like they're a really good team, potentially a great team, but, you know, we're a good team that's finally learned how to win.
And how about it? Throwing the metrics aside, the record aside, by the eye test, do you feel that you're a postseason caliber team?
Absolutely. I mean, hey, listen, this there were growing pains early in the season. You know, we experienced it in the non-conference. Not to take anything away from St. Joe's, but, you know, there was a lot going on that day. And then obviously, you know, what number is he? 2. Booknight's number 2. When Booknight, number 2, he probably could have helped us in that game. I don't know what you guys think. You guys are smart basketball people, but, you know, not having him for those games and not having him for the early part of practice put us behind the 8 ball, put him behind the 8 ball in terms of bringing this team along. Obviously, we did the right thing, which, you know, schools should do if players are involved in incidents like that off the court. Some do, some don't, but we did, and that obviously caused us to have a real stain, you know, on our resume. But and then obviously the start to the conference play, you know, we're still going through those growing pains. But I mean, we've beaten. They're an NCAA team. Cincinnati's an NCAA team. Florida's an NCAA team. And then pretty much minus a game that Book didn't play in, and minus those first 2, you know, road games where we obviously didn't perform well. You know, we've either been gone to overtime or played teams that are NCAA caliber to 1-possession games. So, and then I would think if we continue to play well, we'll get a chance to play somewhere.
You're beating the top 3 teams in the league now too, Al. I don't know if that's happened since they've been in the league. I mean, does it give you confidence going forward when you can go to conference tournament?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously got to manage these guys. We're not going to be able to do a whole lot of practicing. You know, obviously we could play Sid for a couple minutes, you know, here and there, which kind of, you know, if Al's back holds up, that gives us like 7.5 players here. You know, moving forward here, if we keep everybody fresh and healthy. So, You know, right now it's just about keeping these guys fresh, keeping them healthy, keep them hungry, and I know that they're excited about playing another really meaningful game on Sunday to get us to 10-8 in the conference and to get us 19 wins. If you said that to me the day that Tyler tore his ACL and then the night that the Cook went down, I'd have thought that you were crazy.
What do you think this group of seniors, specifically Christian and Al, have meant to the program, and what was it like honoring them prior to the games?
Foundation, man, they're the foundation of what's going to happen next for us, which is going to be a lot more nights like this, and a lot more nights like the stretch that we've played. They've instilled a standard. They've helped us instill a standard that in last year's transition year we couldn't get to that point with the group because we hadn't spent enough time together. So there'll be people, particularly Christian, because Al's situation, is obviously more up in the air. But we're just with Christian. He's a guy that we'll talk about. Both in the near future with teams and down the line when we get back to being what UConn's supposed to look at and say that this was the year that the standard got back to being the standard.
Coach, would you consider this one of your most memorable wins since you've been at UConn? I mean, more memorable, just dealing with the emotion that was in the building.
I was up there. That was nice. That was nice because that was the only team we hadn't beaten. We felt like we should have beat them there this year. A lot of things went on, which I don't want to do a follow-up question with Dave where he asked me about the player not being allowed to sub out at the end. But that, it was important to all of us. This was the one team we haven't beaten. And I just think from a team confidence standpoint, going into the weekend, into next week, it's maybe a mental hurdle for the group that we now know going into, when the University of Connecticut heads to Dallas for the conference tournament, that we know we can beat anyone in the field.
There you go. Thank you. Thanks.